A pinch of cinnamon, a squeeze of lime. Flavor can take us back in time. Sweet, bitter, sour, and more. A symphony or a one-note score. Savor every flavor and scrumptious bite. My favorite dessert is Cloud Delight.
Here's the director, Juliana, star of the show. Apart from the nettles. This is Lindley Valley, not far from where we live in Nanaimo. Springtime, the nettles are just coming up everywhere. And the small ones here, the fresh new growth, are the best. You need about 6 cups for the pesto. That's about enough. And up she goes. I need some garlic and some lemon, salt and pepper, and some olive oil. Need our trusty box grater and a food processor. And of course our nettles. And sticks and leaves and grass, which we're going to pull out. So the recipe says to steam them, braise them in a bit of water, so I'm going to measure them. Some of the hardcores say you don't need to blanch them, you can just blend them up and it will kill the stinging. You got the sticks and the leaves and the grass. So we're going to do half at a time. It's about 3 cups of nettles, roughly. It's all just rough. Can't really go wrong with this. You can always adjust the flavors as you go. We're going to use sunflower seeds. You can use pine nuts, you can use walnuts, you can use pecans. I went with sunflower seeds because they're pretty neutral. Yeah, I put too much in there. Let's remember the recipe. Half at a time. And the recipe calls for just a few tablespoons of water, but I found you could use easily 1/4 cup. That wasn't 1/4 cup, that was 1/4 cup measure. I just filled it maybe 1/3 full. It got really dry really quickly. So there is moisture in the nettles, but not as much as you'd think, so you use more water. Evaporates very quickly. It'll quickly, slowly wilt. You just don't want them too moist, because like if you were using spinach or pesto, frozen, you'd want to squeeze it out. You want very little moisture in there. You want all the moisture to come from the lemon juice and the olive oil. And again, that's just my opinion. There's 8 billion ways to do everything. And the limit is on, I think, medium, but it gets quite hot. And throw in the rest of the nettles. This is how talkative I am in real life. And I wanted to touch them as less as possible. That's why I got the director to snip them. You can use the stems, you don't have to use the stems. I just put everything in a food processor. And the recipe called for 4 cloves of garlic. And after I tasted it, these are big cloves, and so it's quite garlicky. So you'll see I ended up adding some more cheese and more cilantro to kind of balance it out. Decided to cook the pesto a little bit with the prawns, which turned out to be a surprise. The director wanted to put prawns in the pasta, so I said okay. It really only should have been half that. So I think in the recipe, 4 cloves meant small cloves, but they didn't mention that. And I should know better. 3 years of cooking. Nice big block of Parmesan. Maybe 1/3 of a cup. Give that a speedy grate. And slow down when you get close to your fingers. As I'm sure you've found with recipes, not every recipe turns out the way you expect. In fact, it's quite rare, I've found. That's how you learn. Pulse it. Until it's somewhat finely ground. So I'm going to give it a head start, chop up everything before you add the nettles and the cheese, because those things are going to incorporate quite quickly and quite easily. those the nettles? Beautiful how bright they turn. Reading the recipe. Can't remember how many tablespoons of lemon juice. You know, you can always adjust. Always add a little less at first if you're unsure. See, I'm using my hand as a sieve there. Yum. A lot of fresh lemon juice. Oh yeah, a tablespoon. There you go. Perfect. Talking to myself, as I do in the kitchen. I'm my best friend in there. I don't often have a sous chef. And blend it all together. You can use a high-speed blender as well if you want, or if you prefer. And then you're wanting the consistency of pesto almost. I have to still add the oil. Stop every now and again and scrape down the edges just like you would a bowl of food that you're making. And obviously you want everything to be consistently the same size. You don't want any big chunks of nut. Really, you probably couldn't puree this long, or too long. This thing pours really slowly, which is maybe a good thing. Demonstrating how long it actually takes to do things in the kitchen. I don't know if that's helping. I feel myself getting impatient watching myself do this. Just a reminder to relax and breathe. Really appreciate olive oil. If I continue making these shows, I'm going to have some educational B-roll throughout. Perhaps some trivia on each ingredient, things like that. And goes the oil. With the food processor running. See it lighter, lightens it up, creams it up, smooths it out. Adds some flavor, some texture. Or I should say evens out the texture. Handy gadgets, these things. Use it all the time. Taste. Really gotta taste it. You always taste as you go. Really getting a look behind the scenes here. What's happening in your brain when you're tasting? Sitting you down. Bulbs were big, garlicky. It's almost inedible. This is what goes on for me in the kitchen. This is a real look into the process. And it's what it's really like sometimes. A bit more cheese couldn't hurt. It's right there. Anything to temper that garlic. Again, I'm imagining I put twice as much in as I could have. Chop up some cilantro. That should help. Yum. Not that that little matters, but everything helps. And we'll call that done. That rumble was intentional. The zen of cooking. It's quite thick. Could have added more olive oil. And I'm not sure what else. There we go, nettle pesto. And now we're gonna make some pasta. So get your pasta maker out. I'm gonna use some all-purpose flour and also some spelt flour. 5 eggs. Well, you can only see 4 there. I'm going to use 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And then a cup of spelt flour. It's a light spelt flour. Crack in 5 eggs. I'm cracking them on a flat surface because if you do it right, they will crack exactly in half. Which happens about 10% of the time, no, maybe more. That's a beautiful thing when it happens. You don't put salt in, just eggs and flour. You can do this by hand, but it just takes so much longer. It speeds it up immensely. It'll be quite sticky, so you want to add more flour. And then also not too much that it's not pliable. I haven't mastered pasta dough yet. I make it easily a few times a year. I almost put the nettles in the pasta the dough, because you can put herbs in, which makes it quite nice. Mix of parsley, basil, green onion. You can put anything in there. Gives it a beautiful color. Gives it a beautiful flavor. Whatever a beautiful flavor is. Just more body and more life, more spice, more depth. Get rid of the chair. We're going to need kind of a stiff dough. Also, it can't be too stiff because it's got to be able to go through the roller. But you want it to be quite dry. So I suppose you could incorporate more flour in the food processor. I don't really know the benefit of that. I suppose I'm just trying to make the most of the dough. I'm probably doing it all wrong. An Italian grandmother would probably set me straight. And I'm not letting the dough rest. If I let the dough rest for a while, it would probably, the glutens would relax. Again, showing you what's really involved if you do it my way. Try the rolling pin. Yeah, it doesn't really help. It's so tough. It ain't going anywhere. It ain't pastry. Work surface some. These bench scrapers, great tools. Attach it to the edge of your counter. Nice and snug. Head the crank. Beautiful machines, these. Cut it into strips. See, it's kind of very moist on the inside there. It's kind of what you want to avoid. That's why I keep doing what I'm doing there. Because when it gets to the cutting part, they stick together. First, it's got to be thin enough to go through the roller on the lowest setting, which is 0. Just flatten it out even more. Just like that. And sometimes I just do it twice just to help it. Keep it aimed the right way when you're going in, otherwise it kind of moves to the side and clumps and folds on itself. Now it's a good time to add the flour. And one more time, just for fun. To help it maintain its shape. Each time you run it through thinner, it's going to get longer, so that's why I cut them in half. Don't be shy with the flour. Beautiful thing. The scrapers are also good for that too. So just reduce the roller, or increase the setting, which reduces the depth, the height, the width. Which reduces the thickness of each sheet. See, you just keep reducing it. 0, 1, 2, we're actually increasing the dial but reducing the thickness. Kind of an inverse relationship. You just repeat until you get to the thickness you like. I tend to go to 6 or 7. The director prefers it like that. See, now the longer you get, then chop them in half. And you can see you could make any shape you want. You could cut them into ravioli. You can make tortellinis. You could use the sheets as lasagna noodles. The attachment I have is for fettuccine and linguine. My two favorite shapes of pasta. Yeah, see how nice it is, how thin. I'm getting organized here. Right now I'm going to got this PVC drying rack set up. Behind me. I'm hanging them to dry. And I learned this time that you don't want to let them hang too long, because then they become too dry and become like leather. And as you'll see, they'll break in the cutter. I think 15-20 minutes is plenty. Whereas I let these dry for an hour and that was too long. There we go. On goes the cutter. Simple. See, now it's like leather. Bone dry. See, it breaks. Be very gentle with it. Normally it would be a lot softer and you could twirl it into little nests. I've put them in the freezer before. You can see how that works. It's quite dry now, so I'm handling it very gently as to not break it, because I like my noodles long. See what happens. Someone dry it too long. That's the moral of the story. Yeah, see? It's a mess. Yeah. Getting quite frustrated here. Let's see, get some that are good. Closer to the shot for you. So you get the gist. Unscrew it. Clean up. Get rid of all the bits. And get the pot of water going. Steffi salt. My cooking instructor said like seawater. And then you cook it until you like. Really enjoy waiting and watching and cooking pasta. I like my spatula shaped it like a guitar. I'm getting the cheese out. And we're boiling, we're good. Look at that. Beautiful. In the sink, you can go with the prawns. I didn't reserve enough pasta water. I reserved a little bit, but not enough. Cook the prawns. And then in goes the pesto. Just to temper that garlic a little bit. I also really like cream cheese in my pasta sauces. I'm going to add some of that. Give me a look. Prawns and pesto. Yeah, a bit more. I'm not gonna use all that pasta though. Yeah, here goes the cream cheese. Help it along, it'll melt though. What you really want is some pasta water here. Reserve much more. That's plenty of pasta. You don't need more pasta than that. Although I'm probably going to put more in. Oh, no, good. Yeah, toss it all together. And serve it up. Right? If you get a sausage, you want to tend to like my stuff dry. And some more Parmesan. Ideally, this good stuff you grate yourself. And pre-grated would work fine too. There we go. Now pesto pasta. You made it.
A pinch of cinnamon, a squeeze of lime. Flavor can take us back in time. Sweet, bitter, sour, and more. A symphony or a one-note score. Savor every flavor and scrumptious bite. My favorite dessert is Cloud Delight.